A new national poll shows 60% of Americans questioned believe the Chinese Communist Party deliberately unleashed the COVID pandemic on the world. The same percentage, 60%, say China should be held accountable for the deaths of more than 1 million Americans. More than 6 million people have perished with the virus worldwide. Economies have been devastated. Well, here to explain the poll commissioned by the Committee on the Present Danger, China, is CPDC Chairman Brian Kennedy. Brian, I'm sure Dr. Fauci and other critics of the lab leak theory say it's just that, only a theory. What do you say?
Well, great to be with you, Gary. Most Americans have common sense. And when they hear that the virus emanated near the Wuhan Institute of Virology, most Americans put two and two together and think, well, this may not have been intentional, it may have been accidental, but it certainly came from China, and China let that virus spread from Wuhan to the rest of the world. And so most Americans, as the poll suggests, believe in a very common sense way that the Chinese did this. And that's not controversial. And the real shame is that there are Americans like Dr. Fauci or Pfizer or any of these big corporations, big pharma, that cover for the Chinese Communist Party.
Brian, what are the chances we'll ever arrive at the truth about this?
Well, in many ways, I think we have arrived at the truth about this. The odds of it coming as between a laboratory that's doing research on coronaviruses and a wet market, and it coming from the wet market, the odds of that are very, very remote. Regardless, though, of whether or not it came from the laboratory or the wet market, we know definitively that knowing it was spreading throughout Hubei province in China, we know for an absolute fact that the Chinese closed down Hubei province so that it would not spread from Hubei province through the rest of China. But they let flights go from Wuhan to the rest of the world, knowing that this virus would spread. They did that on purpose, intentionally. Now, if that's not an act of biowarfare, I'm not sure what is. If you're going to close it down for the rest of China, why not close it down for the rest of the world? They did that on purpose. And I would add a very important point here. In May of 2019, the Chinese Communist Party declared a people's war against the United States. And we're making the argument in this book, regardless of the origin, it went intentionally to the United States. And the United States has suffered the consequence to this day, and we've done nothing to hold the Chinese to account.
Well, then how likely is it that another viral outbreak similar to this one, or worse than this, may intentionally be unleashed on the world?
Well, I think the Chinese have seen that this kind of, they had a doctrine back in 1999 that two colonels wrote a book called Unrestricted Warfare, where they talk about using all sorts of things in order to put China as the master dominant power on Earth. And they talk about chemical warfare, biological warfare, computer warfare, terrorism, even atomic warfare. So they have this array of things they could do. There's no reason, given our response, when I say our response, we Americans, there's no reason to believe that having seen what we did the first time with COVID-19, that they wouldn't use this again to try to shut down the U.S. economy, to kill the American people, and I would say even more importantly, to demoralize the United States. They want to demoralize us because we're a free people, and they want to demoralize us because we're a religious people. We believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in the power of our Christian faith. What did COVID-19 do, among other things, but drive us from churches? And that has done more, it seems to me, to demoralize this country than anything else. It wasn't just the loss of life. We're all going to die someday. But to have us live the way we have for the last 2 years, especially that first year where we couldn't go to church, where we couldn't meet our neighbors, where we couldn't visit with family, that's the kind of thing that demoralizes a free people. And I think that's what communist China had on its mind when it went and let this virus be unleashed on the United States.
Okay, Brian Kennedy, chairman of the Committee on the Present Danger China. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Gary. Great to be with you.